Hi, this is Josh Kulp. We are learning Daf Samech Aleph of Masechet Avodah Zarah. This is the last daf of the fourth chapter, but not to worry, the topic of Yain Nesech, of forbidden wine, Gentile wine, will continue through the end of the fifth chapter for the most part. As I've said many times, this is a very important and practical issue for the rabbis, so they continue to talk about it for the last third or so of Masechet Avodah Zarah. I wanted to concentrate on the Mishnah that appears here and really focus just on a few things that we can learn and see from this Mishnah. So it's the very beginning of the daf. It begins, Hamitaher Yeno Shel Nochri, one who literally purifies the wine of a Gentile. And it's interesting that they use the word purifies, hamitaher, which, as we've seen sometimes, is something that the rabbis use in their discussions of yain nesech, the concept that wine touched by a non-Jew is impure. That's not the only context in which it was discussed. It's not maybe even the primary one, but we've seen that before, certainly in Rav Ashi's words in last daf. This is all the way back in the Mishnah, that he is purifying it in the sense that he's making sure the non-Jew doesn't touch it. And it's interesting also that this is wine belonging to the non-Jew. This assumes quite a bit of knowledge among the non-Jew. First of all, it assumes that the non-Jew knows that if he wants to sell wine to Jews, then he needs to hire a Jew to do all of the processing of the wine. That assumes a very high level of awareness, of dialogue, of connection between the two communities, interacting in business, and that non-Jews found it economically viable and necessary even to make sure that they could sell to Jews. Again, I don't know how realistic exactly this is. The story says at the end, the Mishnah says at the end that this happened in Beit Shan, so I would take that a little bit at face value and say that in the Mishnaic period, we can see from this Mishnah that there were Jews and non-Jews who engaged together in the wine trade, and non-Jews actually hired Jews to process their wine because Jews observe these laws. So, the Mishnah goes on to talk about the wine being no berushuto. It was put in the Gentile's own domain. B'bayit hapatuach, in an open home, l'reshuto rabim, so that other people could see it, the public domain. Be'ir sheyesh ba goyim v'Yisraelim, in a city that has Jews and Gentiles, mutar, because it's mutar, it's permitted, because we can assume that the non-Jew would say to himself, look, if I touch the wine, I know that all the Jews won't buy this wine and I'll lose a lot of my business. Again, here you get this description of a city that is occupied by Jews and Gentiles, something that archaeologists confirm that Jews did not live in isolated cities in the Mishnaic period, but that many of them lived in cities that had large Jewish and Gentile populations living together. And then the question is, how much does the non-Jew have to worry about Jews seeing him drink the wine? There's also an assumption in the Mishnah, an unwritten assumption, that a Jew who sees the non-Jew drinking the wine will tell everybody about it, and other people won't want to buy the wine from the non-Jew. There's also an assumption, maybe not such a nice assumption, that the non-Jew will not respect these laws of the Jew. He might think that they're ridiculous. He might just be thirsty to drink his own wine, and he'll drink it and not tell anybody about it. So there's a lot of unwritten assumptions. I'm not going to read through all of this Mishnah. There's a lot of unwritten assumptions sort of lying behind the realia, the community being described in this Mishnah, and I hope you'll sort of read between the lines as you're going through the daf what assumptions we make about what types of living situations Jews and non-Jews find themselves in, what kind of trust there is between the two communities, what kind of business relationships there are between the two communities. I think you can learn a lot from this Mishnah and also the Mishnayot that are coming up in the next parak. So good luck, and again, congratulations at finishing the fourth chapter of Masechet Avodah Zarah.